Friendly physician is the name of a model often employed by PE, hospitals, other investors to structure an end run around a state's prohibition on the corporate practice of medicine. Here's a simple example of how the model is used, although there are other applications for it. Doctors Alpha and Beta own a large medical practice. We'll call it Alpha Beta PC, with other employed physicians, and they have a significant staff. They're approached by last PE firm before Freeway, we'll call it last PE, which wants to buy the entire practice, employ doctors Alpha, Beta, and the other physicians, as well as the rest of the staff. However, due to the state's prohibition on the corporate practice of medicine, last PE can't own Alpha Beta PC. They can't own the medical practice. To get around that restriction, last PE forms a management services organization, an MSO, we'll call it AB Management Co., which buys all of Alpha Beta PC's assets other than the bare medical practice, which remains with Alpha Beta PC. Moving forward, Alpha Beta PC employs the physicians, and AB Management Company, the MSO, provides by way of a management agreement the physical space and all of the other services and the lay employees required to operate the practice. But that leaves us with the question of the friendly physician. A physician, it could be one of doctors Alpha or Beta, will, as a part of the overall arrangement, remain or become the owner of the stripped-down medical practice entity, Alpha Beta PC. However, and here's the rub, the physician is dubbed a friendly physician because he or she serves at the will of AB Management Company, which can force him or her to sell to a designated replacement, that is, to a new or friendly physician. Similarly, the management entity can prevent the friendly physician from selling his or her ownership interest in the practice entity to anyone that the MSO doesn't approve of. What could go wrong? Maybe nothing, maybe everything. Let's explore a few points further. Note that this is by no means an exhaustive exploration of the issues. Let's look at conflicts and liability. By its nature, the friendly physician and the practice and the management entity are tied together at the hip. If the management entity fails or doesn't devote enough resources to those items required in the professional judgment of the friendly physician, the overall business of the practice could fail. And worse, quality of care can suffer. The friendly physician and his or her license are at risk. Of course, the friendly physician can't huff and puff and say that this and that must be done to protect patient care, but remember that he or she can be replaced at the whim of the investors. Dr. Friendly might be under significant financial pressure not to complain due to his compensation package for serving as the friendly physician, or even more troubling, out of concern that he might not receive some or all of the remaining purchase price due to him that was financed through a seller's note or by way of an earnout. Conflict of interest, anyone? Fuel for the fire that will be lit by medical malpractice lawyers, medical board investigators, and state prosecutors alike? You need to be extremely careful, with the devil being in the details of the sales documents, the management services agreement between the management company and the practice entity, the agreement governing the relationship between the friendly physician and the practice, and the agreement governing transfer rights as to the friendly physician's shares. Let's look at compliance and liability. There are too many compliance points to cover in a short book. Let's look at two. First, the relationship between the medical practice entity here, Alpha Beta PC, and the management entity, which we've called AB Management Company, raises concerns under the federal anti-kickback statute and the Stark Law, as well as under state counterparts. So too would any arrangement whereby the management company is providing additional compensation to the friendly physician, say by way of a consulting agreement, providing for an additional stream of income to him or to her. What are the purposes of those payments? The real purposes. What are the amounts of those payments, and are they within fair market value? Significant questions abound. So too does the issue of availability of safe harbors, whether permissive under the AKS or mandatory under Stark. Second, although you as the friendly physician might exercise diligent supervision of the professional entity, by definition, you have given up a significant amount of control under the management services agreement. That is, the global deal. Promises in a contract are just ink if they're actually printed out, and it would be foolish to assume without checking on a regular basis that the overall business is operating in a compliant manner. I've seen physicians prosecuted for felonies as a result of forgetting this simple step. As former President Ronald Reagan said, trust, but verify. After all, you wouldn't be the first, or likely the 501st physician to discover that your lay investment partners are paying kickbacks to third parties for referrals of patients, or were even running phony or non-existing patients through the practice. Note that I'm not saying that every friendly physician deal is an illegal deal, but I am saying that every friendly physician deal is a complicated deal, whether or not you believe it is. Get help with it. The amount of money that you think you might save by not getting professional help up front will be dwarfed by the money you will spend to defend yourself later on.